Welcome back to the Design Room. I'm Mark, and in the last few weeks, I've had a curious thought about what is it that makes something good in the long run. If you don't know, I produce a lot of 3D renders of Starship, usually from Star Trek, and I was wondering why it was that one ship can be better than another. It sounds simple, but it's actually kind of complicated. Something I work very hard on, and I really like, turns out it gets no views and no favorites. Some things I just crap out in a second and I don't really like, everyone seems to love. So, when something you create is good in the long term and keeps getting repeat views, you call that evergreen, like the tree. It just keeps producing. It's laying golden eggs. So today I decided to take a look back at things I've created for both DeviantArt and Sketchfab and figure out which ones are evergreen, which ones do people like the most, which ones do have people coming back to for some reason. Old things keep getting more and more views and favorites until they surpass the newer things mysteriously. I don't particularly love the things presented in this video. I'm just wondering what's special about them. I produce things for DeviantArt, and then usually that model ends up at a later date on Sketchfab. So Sketchfab is secondary. If you don't know, Sketchfab is just a public database of 3D objects that you can view that are uploaded by modelers. It's fun to actually be able to move models around in 3D and see what they did and maybe how they did it. DeviantArt, though, is for 2D flat images that are much better looking by virtue of just being a flat 2D image. You can really go a lot further with it. The model itself may disappoint you, right? And you'll notice that even in reality, like when you get a 3D model, say that was screen used, wow, it doesn't look that good. Well, a lot of the fancy on-screen effects were in post-processing. A lot of the individual shots were bespoke, meaning they had special effects that were only for that shot. So that ship actually was modified slightly for certain shots to achieve a certain effect. And I do that on DeviantArt. I will produce the model. I will show it in camera, and I'll say this isn't doing what I want visually, and I'll actually make it shinier than it would otherwise normally be, right? So there's a lot to it. It's an art form. I know it's art, right? So let's take a look at the USS Cernan. I'm just going to run through my Sketchfab models, my top 3 Sketchfab models, and my top 3 DeviantArt models that people love for some reason. You can see how many views and how many favorites they have. I'm going by favorites today, or stars. Conveniently, Sketchfab and DeviantArt both use stars for favorites or something like that. So let's take a look at this ship on Sketchfab. This one had a lot of stars. What's special about it? You tell me, buddy. This is from the Discovery era. I believe I made this maybe even during Discovery Season 1, if I'm not mistaken. Named after the astronaut Eugene Cernan. I noticed early on in Discovery, a lot of the ships were being named after astronauts or other people early in aeronautics and the early days of space exploration, right? I mean, Discovery is Crossfield class, named after, I think, Scott Crossfield. So this one is named after Eugene Cernan, the USS Cernan. People seem to like this one. It's very flat. It speaks to a lot of the design principles that we saw in Discovery. I'm not a fan, but I thought, hey, let's see that as canon for a moment and bring forward the design principles I saw on that show into a new ship. So we have this Bassard collector style design that you would see frequently in Discovery for some reason. Brought that forward. It's very flat, like Discovery is in itself. It's got all kinds of pointless looking prongs. Like, what are the point? What's the point of these things? I don't think they're impulse drives. I don't know what they are. Impulse drive It's blue. It's just a random color. Like in Discovery, they were just picking random colors for these things like pink and stuff like that. So I just, I don't know, blue. It's got the weird frontal shuttle bay. It's reminiscent of the what was the first ship in Discovery called? The Shenzhou? Is that what it was? The Walker class ship. I remember back before Discovery started, people looking at that ship and thinking that was the Discovery, but it wasn't. Let's look at the render view, shall we? There she be. What do you guys think? Deflector dish there. Very much like the Walker class. What's good about it? What's bad about it? Why do people keep coming back to it? That's what I'd like to know. Let's take a look at another ship that was popular on Sketchfab for whatever reason. This ship, this ship performs on, I think, DeviantArt and Sketchfab, has a lot of favorites, and it keeps getting a lot of comments. People keep coming back to it. What's special about this? I designed this as an alternative to the Sovereign class. I was disappointed with what I saw in the Sovereign class. I thought it was a little bit too angular, a little bit too violent. So I walked it back a bit, made it bigger, and I came up with this thing. And people like it. I don't know why exactly. It's not that amazing. It's something. I mean, people might think it's strange that you would create things that you don't like, but I don't create things just because I think, oh, wouldn't this be cool? And then I do it. I do these things as an exercise in canon, if I can. I try to look at where this is in the time frame of Star Trek, and I try to expand upon it in that way. And sometimes I create things that are ugly. Sometimes I create things that I think look cool. But always I try to create things that I think make sense, right? So we have this stacked design here. I like stacking hull sections like this. I really think you can get a lot more out of a ship by doing that. You get a lot more like window room, right? Because it's easy to forget about angles, right? You don't want to be in a room where the window is at an angle like this, right? It's like, how are you supposed to see out of that, right? Like the angle is like almost at the same angle as the floor. If you think about it like that, logically, I see these things and I say, okay, this square is, say, 3 decks, right? I'm using the Andrew Probert idea here. A deck is 12 feet about. That includes instrumentation, paneling, pipes, all that stuff. So that square has to be able to extend all the way through that flat deck. And then I imagine I'm, say, a 6 foot tall person, and I'm here, and I have to look out this window. And I think of the angle, and I think of, wow, would this window be good to look at? Would it be at so much of an angle I need to crawl under it to see? Would it be too low down? Would it essentially be on the floor? And it's easy to forget these things when you're in the throes of creating, right? You're experiencing the fiery passion of creating things on a whim, and sometimes you accidentally do something stupid. But stacked design can give you decent window shape and angle without sacrificing cool, without sacrificing the coolness factor, because stacking is cool. Here's our bridge. See, this is a very large ship, in keeping with what we saw with the Galaxy class. Here's a unique idea, is to have this wing-shaped secondary hull actually be occupied, right? So you're getting the front row seat even when you're in a secondary hull. Normally, if you're in the secondary hull, you're looking out the side. This one, you can look at the front, right? I thought that was pretty cool. But I also had the unique idea to throw on these weapon pods, right? And these are swappable. And I think they're in a spot that doesn't necessarily cut into the design of the ship necessarily. You'll notice they have full access to the back, full access to the front. You no longer have to worry about accidentally shooting your own ship. Not that that's really going to happen too often. And a unique spot for the secondary hull impulse drive. that's what this ship possesses. These are its calling cards. And a rather small looking deflector dish that I extended up here to kind of give it more real estate. What do you think? Does it deserve to be so well liked? Does it deserve to be evergreen? What's unique about it? Let's see if we can take a rendered view. There it is. Not bad, but is it great? It's nowhere near my favorite. Let's move on. Here's another one that is really well liked on Sketchfab. This is a Sketchfabber. This is a hypothetical Season 3, Season 4, Season 5 now, potentially, refit for the Discovery. We're keeping the spirit of the Crossfield class, but we're moving it into the 31st century. I've been closely monitoring the designs of the ships that we have seen since Discovery Season 3, and I've been carrying those design ideas backwards into the Crossfield class. A lot of people like this. A lot of people comment on it. It's very flat, as is the Discovery, and it doesn't necessarily step on the toes of anything that has come before with the Crossfield class. Of the ships we've seen so far, I do kind of like this one, although I don't love detached nacelles like this. Not really my thing, but design-wise, I think it's slick. I think it catches the eye from most angles. This is key when you're designing a ship. You're not going to see it from just the cool angle. Oh, look how cool this is. Look, we're seeing it from the cool angle. No. When you're watching a show, or say you're actually envisioning this ship in reality, you're seeing it from the weird angles all the time. Like this. Like that's how you're seeing this thing. So it's important to have a ship that has a lot of good angles, right? Like this is a good angle. That's a bad angle. That's bad. This is kind of okay. This is good. And this is good, right? So the side angles, to me, aren't really popping. But neither do they pop on the original Crossfield class. So therefore, I'm not really breaking the bank creatively here. I'm just moving forward what we had before. So this is recognizably the Crossfield class, right? Even though it should be a totally different class. But you just know if this showed up in Discovery, they'd call it the Crossfield 2 class or something. Even though it's totally different. Looking closely, I moved the saucer at the edge here. I just kind of tweaked it a little bit so that it moved forward like this. See that? It's got a little nub that kind of goes in like that. The sea creature soft angle design that we see in the 31st century is here. We have other calling cards from that era being cutouts, negative space. We love our negative space. We loved it when Discovery started, and we still love it in the 31st century because that's just what the designers like. They like cutting holes and stuff. So there's lots of holes here. These gray spots are for windows. You'll notice if you look closely at some of the 31st century designs from Discovery Season 3 and beyond, these dark strips, usually when on, will be filled with numerous windows. So I followed that. In keeping with the rest of the ships of that era, most of the lights are just the same color. Like some bright blue, almost white. That's a reflector dish. Same thing here. Same thing, there's a ring around this section here. Anomalous black bulbous machinery in certain spots that you will see sometimes from that era. And this is the Discovery moving forward. I wish we got this instead of just ancient Model T Discovery flying around with all these other ships. Like, that refit they got in Discovery doesn't cut the mustard, I don't think. Maybe this is what we should have got, and a lot of people apparently agree with me. Let's check it out rendered. Yes, I went with a brighter background for this one, and I went with a ray trace shading on it. What do you think? Pretty cool, eh? I like this one. So me and my viewers, we have an agreement, finally. Let's see what else we got. moving on to the DeviantArt favorites. Okay, everybody who loved this, mind explaining why? I crapped this out in like a day, and I just threw it up on DeviantArt, and it has a lot of likes, and I don't really like it. This one was just kind of just a joke that came to my mind one day. I was just like, what would it look like if we had an Enterprise in like the 33rd century or something? What would that be like? You know what? Let's just break the bank here and design a new type of propulsion. They have been mentioning doing something like that in Star Trek Discovery Season 3 and 4. The Federation working on alternative warp drives. So this is what I ended up with. This is using the wave drive. It's supposed to be the Enterprise, I guess. But the wave drive uses these bizarre-shaped wedge nacelles that are very big, but have this hole in them here, right? This is supposed to be a light layer, so we can just forget about that. A normal operation would look like this. What's that about? I have no idea. It's wave drive. It's not warp drive. It's not the spore drive. It's the wave drive. You tell me. This was just something I slapped together. Here's our impulse drives, 1, 2, 3, 4. A lot of decks. A lot of these black strips where windows would be. A strange new pendant design. A very advanced looking deflector dish that goes up back onto the forward section of the secondary hull like this, like an L shape, and that has like a dome embedded into it. What's going on with that, guys? Again, in keeping with the rest of the Discovery later seasons, anomalous stuff. What's that about? And lots of cutouts. The saucer is just floating. The secondary hull is just floating, and both nacelles are just floating. You tell me. Why do people like this? I don't really know. I would be scared to be on this thing. It looks spooky. From the forward angle is pretty cool though. It's unique. I've never seen that before. That's unique too. It's some kind of bug or some kind of flying creature. Unique. Maybe that's what people like about it. They sense it has many good unique angles. But I don't know. Maybe you know. That's the wave drive. Let's take a look at it rendered. What are you guys thinking? I'm not really thinking much. This one's going to be a little bit difficult to run, so excuse me if my video is a little bit choppy. This is an alternate to the Galaxy class. I designed this as... my working title for this was Galaxy Class Sport Model. I just wanted to spruce it up a bit, even though the Galaxy Class is pretty much perfect. You kind of can't make it better. This is my attempt just to sporty it up a bit. So the angles are a little bit more acute. It's a little bit more bendy. Nacelles are a little different. They're pushed a little bit more forward. And the aft section is a little bit more of a swoop to it, you'll see. People really like this, though, on DeviantArt. I've had people just on the side DM me asking for more renders of this, just personally. I have a few ships like that, but this is the only one that has the favorites to go along with that to be featured in this video. This is Galaxy Class, the sport model. A little different, eh? A little bit more angular, a little bit more angry. You may question my motives here, as do I. I'm not in love with this, but I'm in love with the fact that people loved it, if that makes sense. It's just the Galaxy Class, but on closer inspection, there's a few differences. Impulse is different. It's not cut into the saucer. The saucer is now a perfect, like regular oval, as it were. Nacelles are a little longer, a little bit more forward. The back section, the nacelle pylons, it's more combined. It's more fleeting. You'll see this round curve here and this is not present on the original Galaxy Glass. The curve here at the spine is a little bit more, it's a little bit deeper as it goes down. Deflector dish, almost the same. Secondary hull, more of a swoop, right? And that pretty much covers this thing. Why do people like it? Do you like it? I kind of don't. But let's take a look at it rendered if my computer can handle it. Here we go, guys. This is a big one. This is your big boy. Oh, come on. Come on. Computer's spooling up. I can hear it. There it is. Uh-oh, holy shit. I think we crashed Blender. Oh, no, we didn't. We got it. Come on, just one more. Just one more angle. I'll give you the side angle. Come on. Come on. There it is. This model's big. It's complicated. Don't try this at home. I'm getting off this one as fast as I can. Okay. Last, and certainly by no means least, this is my alternate refit Enterprise. Excuse these light beams coming around here. I hate this thing. I liked it a little bit when I designed it. I learned to hate it, but my God, this thing has over 100 favorites on DeviantArt. This is this is a calling card for my DeviantArt now. This is the one people love. And it's also loved on Sketchfab across both. There's something about this. Feel free to try to explain what it is. The nacelle pylons are inverted in a way, like they're moving forward. Almost kept the same secondary hull, except that I lengthened the point where it swoops like that, so it's a little closer to the TOS design. The neck is no longer the same angle on both sides. It's a different angle on the back, and it swoops into the neck like this, like it has an arch that goes out into the neck. The top of this saucer is almost the exact same. Nothing special going on there. You'll notice hull livery has changed a little bit. We got more blue, a little bit more beige here. Now the nacelles from the side are almost the same as what you would see on the Refit Enterprise. You look up, okay, not that different. These are a little different. But then front, we've taken the nacelles, what was cool about them in the refit, but we added in a blue Bassard collector. What's that about? I don't know. Even though I made it, I don't know. This is my alternate Enterprise refit. People really like it. I'm not in love with it. I think this is a good angle. That's a good angle. That's a good angle. This is a little weird. There's something about this that's weird. It's maybe these nacelle pylons should be shorter, or like not as long this way. Maybe they should be a little bit more narrow or something. But there's something weird about this side profile. But let's take a look at this in rendered view. What are you thinking? What's good about it? Are you into it? people freaking love this one on my DeviantArt and on my Sketchfab. It is a mystery, you know, but it is evergreen. It keeps coming back. It won't go away. It just keeps getting comments, keeps getting favorites. I don't know what it is. People are, like, say, drawn to my DeviantArt or my Sketchfab by one algorithmically pushed ship, and then they say, hey, what else has he got? And they eventually just settle on these same few ships. I've shown you three of my best ones from DeviantArt, and 3 of my best from Sketchfab. But there's a secret to this video. There's one more ship. I'm going to show you what I'm working on now. If you'll indulge me for a moment, allow me to show you the Voyager-a from Season 2 of Star Trek Prodigy. What? He has a sneak peek before anybody else at what might be seen in Prodigy Season 2? At the end of Prodigy Season 1, Janeway says, we have something bigger planned or something bigger in mind. As they're looking at the new Protostar class, I took that as meaning we're going back to find Chakotay and we're taking the Voyager-a. Something bigger in mind. I elected to give the new Voyager the proto-drive because we proved it in an extreme scenario with the events of Prodigy Season 1. It's safe now. Here it is. This is the Voyager-a. What do you think of the side profile? I took the liberty of combining the Dauntless with the Protostar and with the Voyager to create a 3-way fusion in the Voyager-a. I'm not sure what class it is, but you can see it here. Impulse engine similar to what we saw in the Dauntless. Nacelles similarly placed to what we saw in the Dauntless. The ventral side of the saucer is scooped, like on the Dauntless. We have a forward-facing shuttle bay, like on the Protostar. And I think overall, it's bulky. It looks fancy. But like the Voyager, it's bulky, has a segmented look, and looks like it has a lot of utility. I think that's what you get from Voyager. Voyager, you get this feeling of this thing is a rough and tumble exploration ship. Dauntless, luxury. Protostar, advanced technology, advanced drive. I think we have it all here. I think this speaks to all of them in an interesting way, and I think wouldn't look out of place in Prodigy Season 2. This is far from completed. It doesn't have basically any textures at this point, but I think the basic geometry is there and the basic window placement is there, so you really can get the idea. This is the Voyager-a. Let's see if we have a lighting set up. I don't remember. Basic so far, but I think you get the picture. What do you think about this placement of this? This is a shuttle bay on a protruding orb shape, surrounded on the bottom half by the deflector. I moved the deflector back to where it was on the Voyager, that being on the secondary hull, instead of having it on a protruding bit here, like on the Dauntless, and up inside the bottom side of the saucer here, like in the Protostar. I went Voyager on the deflector. What do you think? But I also wanted a forward shuttle bay, like on the Protostar. We also have an aft shuttle bay here. In my mind, this would be the vehicle replication bay, and this would be incoming and outgoing shuttles. But that could change. It doesn't have to be that way. What do you think of the placement of these impulse drives? Have you ever seen an impulse drive placement like that? And isn't it cool the way it's placed? It's in the center, mass-wise, basically. Look. So, not that that's important. For me, it is. This impulse placement, it's unique. It's different. And for max impulse, we can activate the saucer-mounted ones. What are you guys waiting for? Show me the third nacelle. Show me Let's Go Fast. Show me the proto drive. Okay, I got it. It's not done. It's not as detailed as it can be, but you can see the basic version here. Okay, get ready. Go fast. Here it is. Look at this. You can see the back. Primitively designed so far. It's far from done. The back of the protocore. The actuators that control the movement of the nacelle to bring it out, to expose it to the other two nacelles, to create the field that causes proto warp. I'm not sure exactly how it works, but we brought our nacelles in line with it. Nacelles, they were designed with the bottom exposed warp grill, similar to the Dauntless, but then I brought the back half of it up, more like the Voyager. Also, our Bassara collectors are extended out like this, but curve inward for that hole effect that the Protostar has. So we've essentially taken the Protostar nacelles and actually walked them back a bit. But here it is. We're going fast. We have our nacelles lined up with each other. And we have this nacelle extended outward. And we can still see our impulse drive. I think this is a winning combination. Excuse the panels that have moved here. There is no actuators attached to them. There's no, as of yet, there's no like machinery here to hold them to the ship. There will be if and when I release this as a final image on DeviantArt. This is what we have so far. We are going fast, baby. This is Voyager-a. Let's take a look at it rendered in this form, this configuration. Look how the light plays off the saucer. So cool. Check it. This is when you know you're going fast. This is when you know you're not going to catch them. Very cool. Unfortunately, so much of this internal volume is taken up by the proto-nacelle, if you will, that a lot of this ship, like basically this whole section here, is not occupied. But it makes up for it because the ship is tall in this way here. It's about 20 decks. Right now, I've configured this for about 20 decks. We're going to call it 20 so far. Lengthwise, I don't have the exact number, but it's very close to the TOS Enterprise. Kind of a scoop design again. I like to do this. I like to scoop into saucer sections so that we can have a bay for docking pods here. Another pod dock here. Another one here. The ship doesn't say anything yet. It doesn't say Voyager or anything. I didn't finish that yet. I was just so excited to show this anywhere. There you have it. What do you think about this neck design? How it goes all the way this far out underneath the saucer? Interesting? Different? A new take on the Dauntless style. What's a good angle to show this at? This is going to be a hard ship to get a good angle of, I think. I don't know. I'll cross that bridge when I get there. I'm Lieutenant Mark, and this has been another Mark's Design Room. Are you wondering what made these ships evergreen? Do you like the Voyager-a? Feel free to tell me in the comments. I'm Lieutenant Mark. I'll see you when next time I see you.